Let me just start off by saying that Labs is my absolute favorite plugin which I use all the time. I heavily rely on the soft piano, the strings, the ambient textures. So with that being said, let's start this off with the soft piano that is the default preset you get when you open Labs every time. It just sounds so beautiful and full, and it's definitely the piano sound you need to make those soft, sleepy lo-fi beats. Make sure you extend each note so that it plays till the end of its respective chord. Otherwise, the sound will just awkwardly cut off. Now moving on to the interface of the plugin. This big knob you see here is the reverb. Turn it all the way up to the right to absolutely drench your sound in reverb, which I don't recommend, but everybody has their own unique taste, so go for it. Now this middle knob is for modulating the sound. It's better done connected to the modulation wheel of your MIDI keyboard to make those nice orchestral swells. And lastly, we have the volume knob, which as the name suggests increases and decreases the volume of the sound. And that explains the interface. It's that simple and easy to learn. Now let's move on to the next element. Now let's choose an ambient path to fill in that background with some space and ambience. There's so many paths to choose from in the Labs library. Download all the songs and just keep them with you. You'll never know when you might need them. The frozen string sound you're seeing right now have a more creepy vibe to it, and that's not the sound I'm looking for. The Labs comes with many different sounds for the piano and not just a soft piano. Just take a look at these glass piano sounds. The glass piano North Star is one of my favorite pads because of how calming and subtle the sound is. So let's go with that. To get the ambient chords for the song, just copy and paste the bass notes of the piano progression into the second pattern. That's a little more intense than how I wanted, so let me just adjust the volume a little bit. Oh yeah, there's also a second knob on the top right corner which I use instead of the volume fader, because you can increase the volume past a certain limit that the fader is confined to. Now that we've laid down the basic foundation of the song, let's make a lead to add more melody. Let's open up a third Labs plugin and go into the synth folder. Just listen to all these presets. But there's this one particular piano sound that I love, which is what we'll be using today. And that's the sound I was looking for. Now let's come up with a melody. So that sounds good to me. So I'll just copy it and paste that same pattern an octave higher to make it sound more full. If you go to a lower octave, it'll clash with the piano and make the mix muddy, so stick to the highs. Next, I'm going to make a counter melody, which complements the main melody. Let's go with that. Remember that it shouldn't interfere with the main melody, so that you need to place it right. Otherwise, it'll just clash with everything and muddy up the mix. Now let's add some groove to the song, starting with the drums. Full drum samples are the only thing that Labs doesn't have at the moment, but who knows what the future holds. But for now, we'll be using the samples from the free Cymatics Lo-Fi Starter Pack. I rely on this pack a lot. Despite being free, it has some great drum samples. So here are the kick, snare, and hi-hat samples I've chosen, and let's make a pattern. Make sure you adjust the velocities of every second hi-hat to humanize the playing and add some swing. Also make sure that the hats aren't too loud, so make it just subtle enough to hear. And the final nail in the coffin is the bass. I rely on samples more than plugins when it comes to bass. The Lo-Fi Starter Kit from the previous segment has just the right ones. This bass is actually from the Eternity sample pack, which is also free. It sounds warm and organic, and that's how I like my basses to sound on my beats. So choose your bass, add it to the instrument rack, copy and paste the bass notes of the piano progression, delete the unwanted fifth notes, and then pitch the progression up so that it's at the right octave. And that's the end of our sound selection. Now let me just arrange the sound separately so that it sounds like a song rather than a loop. And here's the full beat.